About all this are the President of the National Union of Students, Aaron Porter, who's condemned today's violence, Claire Solomon, who was in the building demonstrating, and the Deputy Leader of the Liberal Democrats, Simon Hughes. Now, Claire Solomon, how does breaking into the building advance the cause of free education?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that today 52,000 people, as reported by the BBC, students and staff, protested to highlight the threats proposed to our education by these proposed cuts. And I think that is the message that we need to be taking to today. I think the message we need to take today is that students were very angry and students and staff came out together.
And how does your breaking into the building help that cause?
Well, I didn't break into the building, and I don't think anybody broke into the building. That is not...
You were in the building, weren't you?
I was in the building at some point.
Were you invited in or something?
The doors are open.
So you think you just happened to amble in?
I think we need to concentrate on the
wide... to keep you out,
I think we need to keep our eye on the wider message here. Why are students angry? They're angry at the government.
But the point is that people aren't talking about it. Aaron's not talking about it. People are talking about the limits of protest. And it was claimed by the National Union of Students today that the protest, which, as you say, was pretty widespread and heartfelt by students about student fees, had been hijacked by a minority of people, many of whom were not students. Were you a student? Are you a student?
I am a student.
Where?
I'm the president of the University of London Union, which is the largest university union in Europe. 150,000 students and 22 different colleges. I am on a sabbatical, although I do have a son who is a student, and my son was also on the demonstration today.
Right. How old are you?
I'm 37.
And how long have you been a student?
4 years.
And how long have you been on a sabbatical?
3 months.
And that is a funded post as President of the University of London?
I'm here to represent the students who have voted unanimously against fees and against cuts, and I think today what our students have done... Today we brought 10,000 students onto the demonstration to oppose these cuts.
Why did you have to go into the building to do that?
I think you're asking the wrong questions, Jeremy, and you know it.
I may be, but I'm afraid they are the questions I'm asking.
A few smashed windows cost nothing.
I'm asking you why you felt it necessary to go into the building to make your point.
The whole of society.
Why did you feel it necessary to go into the building?
I don't think you can even compare the two. It's very easy to replace a window. It is not easy to replace.
I'll tell you exactly what we were going to do on this programme tonight.
By an illegitimate government
we were going to discuss what higher fees would do to higher education. We had booked 2 university lecturers and 2 students to discuss that very thing, instead of which everyone is talking about the limits of protest, and that is because of the action taken by you and your friends.
What do you expect students to do when they haven't been listened to for years and years?
So you thought it was the action of last recourse. That's why you had to go into the building, because otherwise no one would pay attention.
I'm not surprised students have been very angry. Students and staff have been very angry today, no.
Why did you feel it necessary to go into the building to make your point?
Why did I feel it necessary to be on the demonstration in the first place? Because we're very angry about what the government has been doing.
You were part of a very small minority which the NUS has said ruined the demonstration by going into the building. I'm just interested to know why you thought it necessary.
I'm not here speaking on behalf
of people who
went inside the building or people who smashed windows.
You were one of them. Speak on behalf of yourself. There is all sorts of reasons
why people did go inside the building. Some were pushed inside, some pushed their way inside, but that is not the question.
You were pushed inside, were you?
I think you need to go back to the NUS's statement.
Why can't you tell us why you did it?
I think you need to go back to the NUS's statement when they say that they are appalled by these despicable actions today, and actually we should be condemning the government's actions and not the students' actions.
What is clear, Aaron,
and this is only the beginning of what's going to be happening.
You were the one who used this term, despicable actions, by people you suggested, or some of your colleagues suggested, were not actually students. They clearly were students. Here we have an officer of your union who was part of this protest.
I mean, what I said was despicable was acts of violence and of criminal damage, and I absolutely stand by that. There can be no justification for violence. A fire extinguisher was thrown off the top floor of the building. I mean, think that could have killed someone. I don't want to be over-dramatic here. I think it's right to point out that, actually, I want to talk about the issue of tuition fees and why that was such a disaster.
But you have failed to make any progress, which is why it's necessary for some people, in their view, to invade buildings.
Well, what I would say is 50,000 students coming to protest peacefully and within the law actually is a sign of progress, is a sign of dissatisfaction with government policy, and actually an unprecedented level of students in terms of making this issue. And actually I want to take this forward into constituencies and hold politicians to account.
Would you like to tell Claire Solomon why her protest was a mistake then?
Well, I mean, what I would say is I don't think that there is the need to resort to having to break the law for acts of violence, for criminal damage, in order for us to actually make what I think is a very sound issue which actually has public support. And if we mobilise public support, I think we'd have a better chance of beating the government.
You've done, the NUS for the first time in many years has actually done a very good job in mobilising students this year, and I've stood with Aaron on many platforms arguing against, and I'm actually really impressed about what's happened today. What is unacceptable is for the leadership of the NUS and the UCU to go against
the leadership of the NUS.
No, exactly. Exactly. We finish. Is for them to go against all of their members, all of their ordinary members who are angry, and actually, you know, you should be standing for the students against the government, not against your own members.
Claire,
that's the point.
And
what he's going to do now, and I know this, he's going to be leading the movement against cuts, because I know that Aaron has made promises before that if the Lib Dems go against their manifesto promises, he will himself back the most, what did you call it, the most resistance possible, or something like that. But
okay,
I know
within the parameters of the law.
Can we bring in Simon Hughes here? Now, you guys have made this possible. The Liberal Democrats have made this possible. There is no majority Conservative government. There are Liberal Democrats making this happen despite having made a promise not to do so.
Let me link Aaron's point with that answer, Jeremy. Aaron has to take responsibility for today a bit, because he said his job, I heard him on the television myself last week saying his job was to hunt down Liberal Democrat MPs. Now,
to hold you to account.
No, hunt down. No, you used the word, Aaron, I heard you and
never to ever
Aaron,
suggest that
I saw you and heard you say hunt down Liberal Democrat MPs.
Now,
you did say hunt him down.
You said to hold him to account.
No, you said hunt down. I've seen it. I can show you the film, and that's not the. Listen. I'm willing, as you know, I've talked to you privately and publicly, I'm willing to have debates with you, but if you think you're going to persuade people by laying siege to them and hunting them down, you're going the wrong. I have to tell you, you're not going the right way about it.
You're the experienced politicians who should know not to go against their promises. I think it's wrong to attack.
That's what I'm going to deal with, Jeremy.
Let's deal with it.
Of course. The electorate decided there wasn't a majority, so it's not entirely our fault that we were the majority.
It's your fault if you refused to break a promise clearly given.
Jeremy, we had commitment in our election manifesto to get rid of tuition fees altogether. That was our wish. We didn't win the election. We had made pledges, because if we were going to be able to deliver our election manifesto, we wouldn't have put up tuition fees. There was then a coalition negotiated. That allowed us to abstain from any votes on this issue if we wished to.
You know,
and we are now,
just
2 seconds, Claire, 2 seconds. And we're now going through the process. Now we've seen the government's response. I'm not a member of the government. We've seen the government's response. We're now going through the process of talking to members and supporters and students in my constituency and elsewhere before we come to the votes later in this year.
Have you decided how to vote yet?
I'm talking to... since I spoke to you last, you asked me that question.
Exactly, it was 4 weeks ago tonight.
It was, I remember.
And you said, I need 6 or 7 weeks and I'll come back and tell you.
And I will.
4 weeks, two-thirds of the time, are you any closer to a decision?
No, because, well, I'm closer because the vote's coming nearer at the end of the year, of course. But I have, since I spoke to you, as I honestly said I would, I've talked to party members, I've started talking to all the student groups in my patch, and that's the proper thing to do, because I want to know whether they think that the deal that Vince Cable has come up with and the government's come up is a deal that they think will be better for them. And for many students, it is definitely better. Part-time students, no upfront fees at all. Definitely better. Poorer students who won't pay a single penny, much better deal. So there are many pluses.
In many areas, the student vote, the students to whom you made a promise, was absolutely crucial in getting Liberal Democrats into Parliament. I want to know what.
That's why I'm talking to students.
Tell him.
Well, I mean, the students that I speak to feel utterly betrayed if there are MPs that are going to break this pledge, because I don't see what's fairer about a trebling of the fees, about a higher rate of interest, about an extension of the loan repayment period. There is an issue of trust in politics, and Nick Clegg both said that there should be no more broken promises, and there was an explicit promise on this issue.
Well, Nick Clegg has already said that he's going to break his promise. He said to me the other day when he was in his office that this is one manifesto pledge that he cannot and will not keep.
Well, Nick has made his view clear that it's not deliverable because of the finances and because of the coalition.
But he says he's breaking that.
Jeremy, that's right.
Sure.
I spoke to a group of students.
Interesting.
I spoke to a group of students who we went through the whole debate. They didn't come with a preconceived condition. All of them in that group, in a college in my constituency, London University students, actually said they thought the deal offered by the government was better than the idea of not putting up
this
for
is
all
a
of them.
£3 billion cut from the government being passed on to
I'm just saying to you,
you
don't feed
He's reporting what he was, says he was told.
And I was surprised about that, because I expected a lot of them would say no, absolutely no increase in fees. And secondly, you know, and this is the real disingenuous part of your position, that your view about what the policy should be, as well as your friend the Labour leader, their view is that it should be a graduate tax. Yes, it should be a graduate tax.
I think that's fairer than the current system.
You know, we can't have it technically, but
I don't agree with the graduate tax. It should be for education all the way.
Our policy is that we have a graduate contribution. That's what you've argued for.
No,
it's exactly what you say you want,
Simon,
and what the NUS said.
No, there is a significant difference between an extension of the tuition fee system and a pure graduate tax.
You very generously said you'd come back in 6 or 7 weeks. That's 2 or 3 weeks' time from now. Can I invite him back at the same time?
Of course you can.
And when we can address this thing, this person
of course you
with a uncanny resemblance to you who signed that pledge,
no, of course,
and you can explain directly to his face why you've come to the decision you've come to.
Of course.
Okay,
and can I just say, I'm very keen that we talk not just to the officers like Aaron, but the real students on the ground who don't have, all of them, the same view that he has.
All right. Okay, thank you all very much.
Were you on the demonstration today?
No, I wasn't.
If you wanted to speak to students, these are the people that you should be speaking to. And can I just say,
speak to them all the time, in fact, Claire. I speak to students every week.
Today is just the beginning. If we want to see if the government go through with these cuts, we are going to see what we've seen in Greece and in Paris and in Ireland.
Debate
and there are going to be
Claire,
occupations, and I do support these, and I think there's going to be a nationwide wave of occupation.
All right, we're going to leave it there. Thank you all very much. The coalition government